Perfect. Thank you very much, Don, on being here today. Super thankful on this beautiful day. The episode is going to be fantastic. There's stories to share, value to provide. Don Gleason, he is a senior business consultant, CEO, professor, like author. He writes blogs. He has some great stories about Disney and other things that we're going to jump to. But before that, Don, I'll give you the floor, the microphone, so that you can share your story and explain who is Don to the audience.
Oh, that's great, Luis. It's so great to be with you. And thank you for the opportunity. Hey, would you like to hear in 2 minutes my entire career? How about that?
Yes, that'll be difficult, but let's go.
All right, I'll see what I can do. I was 23 years old and I started my first business. It was a travel agency. And by the time I was 28, I had 5 travel agencies. So I had a lot of fun in my 20s and 30s, taking young life ski trip and kids going to Colorado and Canada and skiing all over the US. It was wonderful. But I sold my businesses in 1991, right before the internet wiped out retail travel agents. And, you know, I wish I could say I was smart. It wasn't, just timing. But the next thing I did is I came to Orlando in 91 and went to work for Disney. And that was quite the experience. They were such a fantastic company. And I was director of international marketing and sales. So my world was London, Frankfurt, Hong Kong, Tokyo, Sao Paulo, Toronto, Buenos Aires, and I hired staff in all those countries. And we basically used Disney rooms and tickets like a commodity, almost like a giant mutual fund, and parceled those rooms to tour operators and airlines around the world. And we created about $500 million worth of revenue in those days. So it was great. And then my kids, though, when they were 5 and 6, they thought it was great because they could go to the parks or birthday parties or on property in the Magic Kingdom or somewhere. But when they turned 12, 13, it's like, Dad, if we have to bury one more dead hamster and you're not home, game over. So I walked away from a pretty lucrative executive career at Disney, and I went to the dark side. I went to Universal Studios, and I was president of Universal Studios Vacations, and I did that for a couple of years. And what happened was, as soon as they opened Islands of Adventure and City Walk, they had overspent maybe close to $1 billion over that. And they fired 95 executives when they opened the park and got their certificate of occupancy and put it in pre-construction debt. And because I had a no-cut contract, I had a couple of years and I could start consulting. And I've been doing that ever since in way, shape, or form. So, and now I teach a little bit. That's a different story for a university. I wrote their hospitality degree. And I'm an adjunct professor. I started a software company a couple of years ago. And yeah, I'm still keeping busy.
That's amazing, Don. Would you say that the experience that you shared in terms of the travel agencies took you to the leap of going into a dream job, which everyone will sign up for, no questions asked, with Disney?
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, a couple of things. When I was starting my travel agencies, my idea of accounting was a gray cash box. And I would throw all the money in it. If it got too full, I'd go to the bank. You know, I had no systems. I really wasn't, I had a college degree in psychology, but I didn't really have business sense in terms of operations, and which I gained later. And that travel, though, in my worldview certainly helped, because I was used to, you know, being all different places, South America, Germany, Asia, you name it. So I'd already had a lot of cultural awareness and travel experience. And I certainly didn't mind being on an airplane. If I can spend 8 hours reading a book and read it cover to cover that's a wonderful treat. I'm always been a consummate reader, so I love that. So the travel didn't bother me, and I enjoyed it. But that helped certainly when I went to Disney, because our clients were very, very diverse. And actually we were doing small deals once we exhausted the UK, Canada, Brazil, Germany, Japan, all the big guys. We started getting in niche markets in Scandinavia. I actually had a Ukrainian tour operator one time. I told him, "Oh, Disney requires a letter of credit." He goes, "Oh no, the Ukraine, we can't do this." He said, "What do I need to do business with you?" I said, "I need $10,000. "Oh, that's all? No problem." He hands me a check. Yeah. So yes, we had some interesting Israel, South Africa, etc. Yeah.
Nice. And Don, what's a cool story that you can share, or fun story that you can share on the Disney projects or endeavors that you had there with?
Sure. I was there during the opening of Euro Disney, and when they were contracting like I did, it was all the same clients. It was British Airways, Virgin Holidays, all the big guys in Germany, etc. So there was a lot of crossover, and so I was over there helping with the launch of Euro Disney as well. So after it was launched about a year in, we did a deal. Delta Airlines had a direct flight from Atlanta to Tel Aviv, and we had a tour company there that sold our packages. So we partnered up, and in order to promote Euro Disney, Disneyland, Walt Disney World, I decided to take Mickey and Minnie to Israel. So think about this in today's context of geopolitical, challenges. So we get there and we're doing presentations every night for the travel industry and the airline people and everybody. And we're, because people work during the day. So we had nothing to do all day long, and we're just there. And we've got Mickey and Minnie and their character coordinator, and it was really fun. So I thought, you know what? Let's call the Jerusalem Children's Hospital and see if they want Mickey and Minnie to come and cheer up the kids and make an appearance. And when we called them, they said, "Is this a prank, or is this?" I said, "No, this is real. You can call the Delta office. We just need a private place to stage everything. They can only be on stage for 20 minutes. So get your cameras ready, get the doctors ready." Well, we went to the hospital in Jerusalem, and you would have think that, the biggest celebrities in the world were there. There was cameras everywhere. The kids couldn't believe Mickey and Minnie came from America to see them. And the doctors and the nurses all wanted photos. And the next day at the Jerusalem Post, not just a picture above the fold, but the entire front page of the Jerusalem Post was Mickey and Minnie from America come to see our kids. And so we thought that was so good. Let's do it again in Tel Aviv and in Haifa. So we did it in 3 cities, and we had 24 paparazzi following us around going, "Who are these people in these heads? Are these Israelis? These Israeli people? Or who is in the heads?" And we'd say, "It's Mickey and Minnie from America." No, but the peoples. "It's Mickey and Minnie from America." And we kept repeating that. And by the time we were done, all the Delta people, "It's Mickey and Minnie from America." It was so fun. It's a good memory.
That's remarkable. A remarkable story. I love it. And it provides value without asking anything in return. That being said, there's so many articles and things that you're writing about. So you have especially the consulting you've done on Disney and things like that. Just recently, I see that you have one called Unreasonable Consulting in the Arena as well. Would you like to talk about some of those? We're going to put the links as well for people to read.
Sure.
Some of those pieces of content as well, because that resonates with what's happening right now and on the mindset of, okay,
Right.
we need to rewind ourselves and operate in a higher level.
That's great. So it was COVID, and people aren't hiring consultants during COVID. But I was fortunate. A university where I had my MBA, did my MBA from in leadership, called me and said, "Hey, we want to create a degree program in hospitality. Would you like to be a course developer and write it? Sales and marketing, facilities management, revenue management, food and beverage, all the disciplines." And I said, sure. It took me a year and a half, and I taped 130 lectures in front of a green screen. So after I got done, they said, well, you wrote it all. Do you want to teach it? And I said, oh, wait, I have to grade all that junk I wrote? Oh, no. But anyway, so I've always, been in hospitality and travel my whole life. And I found this book a year and a half ago. It came out, but I found it just a few months ago, and it seems like every executive was reading it. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality. And it tells Will Guidara's story of 15 Madison Park in New York. He goes to London for an award show, and he ends up, they always go last to first, and he was last. He was in last place. And he didn't realize his face was all over the Jumbotron going, oh, God, they're so embarrassed. So he writes down on a napkin, unreasonable hospitality. And he didn't even know what it meant. But he comes back and said, we're going to reinvent everything about our restaurant. And they were already good. But he took that restaurant from 50th place within just several years later to the #1 restaurant in the world. It's a great, compelling read. And when I read that, I thought, I was just so inspired. So I wrote a blog called Unreasonable Hospitality, the remarkable power of giving people way more than they expect. And I applied it to the consulting industry because there's a lot in the consulting industry that, frankly, doesn't drive results. There's a lot of promises. There's a lot of trepidation from the owner, the business owners, small business owners that worry that I'm just going to be throwing money at this and I'm not sure I'm going to get a result. I don't want a binder. I don't want you to write a report for me. I need you to walk me through strategy, execution, basically X to Y, by when, that equals a hard number. So when I'm doing consulting, I can demonstrate, and that's why I created a software company to use my own software, really, frankly, that can demonstrate what small incremental gains in your business will yield. So a $2 million business that can improve 2%, 3%, 5% in just maybe a few areas of sales, operations, finance, and cash management, that equals like $385,000. So when I consult with somebody, I'm not a taxi driver. I don't bill by the hour or any of that stuff. We agree on whatever my retainer is, and then I'll make them a mafia promise. If you don't make that money, don't pay me. So anyway, I wrote that Unreasonable Consulting because that sounds completely unreasonable for a lot of people. And what would it be for the owner? What would the consultant feel like? What would the results be? And I use another quote in there from Maya Angelou about service and me being 13 years old in the beginning of the blog, where I took my mom to the #1 restaurant in Chicago. It was called the Pump Room in the Ambassador East Hotel. Now, you might know it because it's a famous scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where Ferris talks his way into this restaurant with his girlfriend and his buddy, and they get into this restaurant. Well, that's the restaurant.
Oh, okay.
And when I went there, I saved up my money. I had some, yard jobs and things, and took my mom for Mother's Day and wore my greased back Brylcreem hair, my big old glasses, and looked like a total geek at, 8th grade. And we get to the restaurant, and I will never forget how they made me feel. Like I was king. And this was my $1 million. And Maya Angelou said it best. People will never remember what you said. People will never remember what you did. I certainly don't even remember the cost of the meal or what I ate, but I will never forget how they made me feel.
Yeah.
Even at that age. Yeah, it was powerful. So the last one I just wrote is a couple days ago. I just published it. You can find it on LinkedIn or all over the place, but it's called The Consultant in the Arena. It's continuing that unreasonable theme, because Teddy Roosevelt wrote this in 1910, and it's always resonated with me. It's called The Man in the Arena, a very famous speech where it talks about it's not the critic who counts, the one who sits in the stands and comments on how the doer of deeds could do it better or should have done this. It's the guy that's in the arena, battling and fighting, blood, sweat. And even if he fails, he knows he fails valiantly and perhaps even triumphs over it, but he leaves it all in the arena. And that's the kind of approach I have to my consulting, to my students, and even teaching sailing in my backyard with 14 sailboats that I refurbed and teach sailing. So yeah, so I keep busy, but that's my approach.
I think it resonates with me a lot of what you said. One of the books that I really like, which is a basic one for entrepreneurs, The Secret of a Millionaire Mind from T. Harv Eker. Like,
yeah.
The value that you provide in the marketplace equals the level of income. So if Don is providing a massive value and saying, if you don't make your money back, you don't pay me, that's the reassurance for someone to say, I'm so good that I know exactly that it's going to work out for you. And if you don't make it, I'll just return, or you don't pay me, whatever. But I know for a fact that I know what I'm doing, and I'm so good at it that my skin is in the game as well.
Yeah, 54 engagements across armed guard security in Albuquerque, freight brokering in El Paso, calcium chloride trucking in West Virginia, a collision center in North Carolina, plumbing company, architecture in Boise. 54 engagements. I never have lost that bet.
That's what it is, and I don't think you will lose another one. And let me tell you, I have on the approach, I do believe that when let's say customer service approach with people, when you said the unreasonable consultant in hospitality, or unreasonable hospitality, I always hire my customer success people, and they need to be from hospitality. For me, it's easier to train on the technology, but I know that if they are hospitality trained, they are going to be massively taking care of my clients. So one of them, he grew my company. He got hired by another one in the US. So he lives in Mexico. God bless him. Great guy. And I hired another one that is the same approach. So I'm just telling you that even though I'm not in hospitality, I recognize the value of the care that you guys put into the customer. And I even have this book that I show it a little bit, but the Be Our Guest, Perfecting the Art of Customer Service, from obviously Disney Institute. I haven't finished reading it, but we like you, I really love learning myself new things and removing churn. I'm targeting 95-7% plus retention and things like that. And the only thing you can do is by providing massive amounts of value, and more than you can think of for a client to say, it will be unreasonable for me to leave this company because of the value that these guys are providing to mine. So I think those are just some things that I would like to expand that you mentioned. I'm super aligned with that. I will be putting all the links of your blog so that people can read it and connect with you as well on LinkedIn.
Sure.
Is there a website that you prefer for someone that wants to
I would go to my consulting if they just want to connect with me, etc.
Okay.
My consulting website, which is don@dongleasonconsulting.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then my software company, where like I told you, I'm a little ticked off at the whole consulting industry. We actually put my software out there for $1 for any consultant to play with it, use it. And because that software helps you get the client and demonstrate the return on investment, and then it helps you run that job for the next 6 months or even to a year. So that's, that's, if it's helpful to people, great. But yeah, so I'm really impressed really with what you're talking about in your view on hospitality and hiring people. Think about this stat. Walt Disney World has 78,000 cast members that make magic every day at all levels. Wow. And they do a great job at celebrating their cast. I just went to a celebration of 15, 20, and 30 and 35-year cast members. It was a great party. They threw a huge party. President Jeff Valley was there of Walt Disney World. And my wife retired this year. She walked out of Disney on the same day she walked in 1989. That's 36 years of making magic. So, but, I understand Disney really well. They have their challenges like any big corporation. They've gone through some turbulence and some things, but overall, they are probably the world standard, like Ritz-Carlton, on customer service brilliance and excellence. And they do it so well. And to get 78,000 people with that same mentality and that same ethos, I'd hire anybody from Disney anytime, because they're so seeped in the traditions of all of those things. In fact, I use Lee Cockerell, who is an executive vice president, and he had, I think he's about the number 4 person, but he had 40,000 people reporting to him under him. Wow. And a team of 7 or so, 8 of his direct reports, but they made magic all the time. And Lee is kind of a legend, really. He speaks, you'll find him on leecockerell.com. And he wrote a book called Creating Magic. And I actually used that text and his time management magic, which is just really super practical and excellent. He did those books, and I put them into my course. My senior capstone course is all built around Lee's Creating Magic and a lot of the Disney methods, and how does Disney do that kind of thinking. Yeah. And I've been fortunate enough to get to lecture at the Rosen School of Hospitality here in Orlando, which is now the #1 school in the world. They beat Cornell, they beat Lausanne, Switzerland. They have so much talent, and Alan Fayal is the man over all of it, and they run such a great program. So if anybody's into hospitality and wants to do it online, go to Belhaven University, where I teach, or look at Rosen School of Hospitality, the #1 in the world. Both are excellent.
Perfect. So with that, I will also share the Kingdom Growth Engine with the audience, the software, which is what was mentioned. We will put all the links, everything that we said, so that people can follow Lee, people can follow you as well. And I hope you had fun, Don. I had lots of fun.
Oh, this was a special treat. So when you send me, when we get this produced and finished, when it's polished, I'm going to echo it on not only my personal site. It'll go out to 1,000 consultants. I'll put it on Kingdom Growth Engine's page. I'll put it on my page. I'll do it on LinkedIn. I'll do it on Facebook. It'll go a lot of places, and hopefully we'll get some great views.
Yes, and lots of value to the marketplace. But that's what it is for. Thank you very much, Don.
It was a pleasure. So don't be a stranger. Let's catch up again soon. Anything I can do to help you, you give me a buzz.
Absolutely, I'm super thrilled. And be healthy. Okay.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.